Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So a whole bunch of news about the Batman movie, the Flash movie, and then stuff that's happening in the TV universe. So there's a whole bunch of Batman related stuff happening this week, including in the Marvel universe too. Batman stuff in the Marvel universe, but I'll explain. A lot of cool Batman things happening right now, but like the biggest news is that the CEO of Time Warner said that the Batman movie that Ben Affleck is making is about 18 months off, which is actually some pretty good information. Previously, Ben Affleck had just said, well, we'll make it when I'm ready to make it. I'm not going to rush it, which is really what you want to hear. Like, you don't want to hear them announce a date that's in like a year. So it's like, well, how are they going to shoot and edit that? Like, when are they going to make the script? That was one of the biggest problems with Suicide Squad. Like, you had a lot of really good things, but not just quite enough time to work on the script. So they're still working on the Batman script. Obviously, they're not going to shoot it for a while. But once they shoot a film, it takes about a year to turn it around, maybe a little bit less than a year. So you have to imagine that, like, in the next 6 months, we're going to be hearing a lot more about what's going on with the Batman movie. But that isn't really like a firm date. That's just the CEO saying that based on the progress that they're making now, the movie's about 18 months off. So that could change. Like, they could get 6 months down the road and say, hey, this script just isn't ready yet, so there's no reason to rush it, so let's just push it by like another 6 months or another year. So the very earliest I would expect to see a Batman film would be like spring. It'll probably be a spring movie whenever they do drop it. Spring 2018 or 2019. And I'm not going to be surprised at all if they push it to 2019. If that's what it takes to make it a really awesome film, it's going to be almost impossible to follow Christopher Nolan. Even though Dark Knight Rises wasn't quite as good as everyone hoped it was going to be, Dark Knight is still the best Batman film of all time. And even though I think Ben Affleck's version of Batman could eventually transcend that, like, do a much cooler version of Batman, it's just going to take time to get there. We know that Deathstroke is in it. We know that it's going to be a Gotham-based movie. It's going to involve Arkham Asylum. There'll be a Prison Break element to it, sort of seeding the larger DC movie universe with villains. Well, what's better than when you're trying to plant seeds for future movies than unleashing villains all over your Earth? You're not only creating material for future Batman movies, because the story of him tracking those other villains down that have escaped is a whole other movie, but you also create new Suicide Squad movies too. Because what are they for if not taking down big villains that are too dangerous for normal people to take down? But if you haven't seen it, I have talked a little bit about Suicide Squad movie plans. There are rumors behind the scenes that they've sort of changed course a little bit, pushed the next Suicide Squad sequel, the next direct sequel, to like way off, in favor of moving up a Harley Quinn movie, but it would be like her movie with Joker in it. I mean, it's like Margot Robbie producing and developing the movie. So even though there's a lot of stuff changing behind the scenes at Warner Brothers, once they all announce this stuff, official dates and stuff like that, it'll all make sense. It'll look like your traditional lineup that Marvel might release. I think people have grown used to that, where they say when each of the movies is coming out, and then they might swap a couple movies that are way later on. Marvel's kind of done that with like Ant-Man and the Wasp. They originally moved that up the schedule. They just announced that they pushed Doctor Strange so that they could get Benedict Cumberbatch, because originally they had intended to start making that movie earlier than they did. But more really cool Batman stuff. If you didn't see it, I just posted a new Supergirl trailer with Superman in it. They name-dropped Gotham. There were a lot of people that thought that they name-dropped Mr. Wayne, as in Batman himself, when Superman's on the phone. He's talking to Perry White. He says Mr. White, not Mr. Wayne. So they do talk about Gotham. They do not talk about Batman, which is a slightly different thing. But there will be Batman characters on Supergirl, but not like Batwoman, Batman, Batgirl, not Batman characters in that way. You just have to imagine that people from Gotham City, people from Batman's group of characters. I think the only character they've confirmed is Batwoman's girlfriend. Kathy Kane's girlfriend in the comics will be on Supergirl. So Batman characters, but not Batman himself. And you do have to remember that because they are doing a lot of Luthor Corp stuff, that the TV shows have like a separate continuity from the movies. So even though there are a lot of similar things happening, like Lex Luthor is in prison on Supergirl, he's in prison in the movies, there'll be a little bit of eye winking. Officially, they're not connected, but I feel like most people watching will just absorb that. Like you get that from watching it, like, okay, this has nothing to do with what's going on in the movies right now. And separately, this is actually really cool. I'll talk more about it during my next Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video. But the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jason O'Mara, who's the voice of Batman in some of the more recent DC animated movies, is playing Jeffrey Mace, who's the Patriot in the comics, who has been one of the people to wear the mantle of Captain America. Now, this is in the classic Captain America comics. This version of the character is obviously a younger person, so he probably has not been Captain America. The only person who's been Captain America in the movies so far is Steve Rogers himself. So Jeffrey Mace on the TV show is not going to be like a former Captain America, but now we can make the joke that the Batman version of Captain America is the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So just remember that when you're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week. But back to the DC movies. So the director of the Flash movie just finished like the most recent revision of the script. They're still working on the script for that. He teased Cyborg, like he put this little like figurine up here at the top of the page. That's just meant to give you the eye wink that yes, Cyborg is definitely going to be in the Flash movie. I've already done a couple videos about the Flash movie, but basically I'm thinking of it as more of like a Star Labs movie. It'll take place in and around Central City because the Rogues are supposed to be the big villains. And aside from that, we don't know much about it. I know everybody wants to know if the Reverse Flash is going to be it, like if Eobard Thawne is going to be a part of it because he's such a big part of Barry's origin story, but you have to remember that the movies have been changing the comic book stories just a little bit, so even though I do think that the movie version of Eobard Thawne, that Reverse Flash, will eventually show up in a Flash movie, I don't think they're going to start there. But anything that has ever been done in a Flash comic book is totally fair game for the Flash movies. You know, I think the Flash movie will be successful. They'll be like a trilogy, so to speak, so they'll get to all that stuff eventually. It's just that they're doing so much with the New Gods right now that I think they want to focus more on that stuff with the DC movies that they're all tying together. But because I'm not going to do a video for it, I was originally going to do a Gotham video, but I just could not stand Ben McKenzie's character, so I will say that Poison Ivy is now an adult character on Gotham. They're doing Court of Owls, so I will be watching Gotham this season, but I'm probably not going to do separate videos. I'll mention like if they do really crazy Court of Owls stuff or they do really crazy comic book stuff, I'll just mention it in my Batman related videos because there will be more Batman movie videos as the movies start to roll out, like Justice League related stuff. So there are like a lot of new things they're doing this season that I do like Jamie Chung, great, but I do not like Ben McKenzie. I don't like what they did with Poison Ivy, but I do think it's cool that they're doing Poison Ivy, so maybe it'll turn into something really cool. But the way the writers and the producers are talking about Poison Ivy on the TV show makes it sound like they don't understand how she works in the comics. Like they have their version of Poison Ivy, nothing like what she is in the comics. And what I am hoping is from the Harley Quinn movie, like on the movie side of this, is that they'll do a Gotham City Sirens type movie with Harley Quinn at the center, and Poison Ivy will get to be a part of that. But remains to be seen. I think Catwoman is the only person that we can count on to show up in Harley Quinn. But let me know in the comments, a lot of Batman stuff happening. When do you think we'll actually see that Batman movie? And when do you think that we will see Catwoman and Poison Ivy and like some of the cooler Batman villains show up in the movies? You have to remember that Geoff Johns is co-writing the movie with Ben Affleck, and nobody does villains like Geoff Johns. Rogues Gallery is his specialty, be it Flash Rogues, be it Batman Rogues. So my next video is going to be a new Arrow trailer. I'll talk about the 100th episode teasers that Stephen Amell has been dropping. There's just this picture he dropped of him casually sitting next to Deathstroke, waiting for them to set up for another shot. So Deathstroke is in the 100th episode, and Manu Bennett separately on Facebook is just like, thank you, this made me laugh so much. But I'll talk more about that when I post that Arrow video. So that'll post in a little while. And then we'll have new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ghost Rider. There's so much stuff that dropped today. There's even new Doctor Strange stuff. Kevin Feige confirmed Marvel Multiverse. So be sure to subscribe to get it. And congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Ben Reed. You win a gift certificate for the Flash Season 2 Blu-ray. Just be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. So I'll try to get through all that stuff as fast as possible. And there might even be some new Flash footage soon too. So a lot of really cool stuff happening this week. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here to watch that extended Superman Supergirl trailer again, and you can click here for my teaser for the Arrow 100th episode. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.